Welcome back to another Monster Monday, a series where I draw a creature from D&D and I talk about its lore and its history and what it's like to fight in-game as well. Today we're going to be talking about the Slaads or the Slaadi, and this monster was suggested by Veverax. The Slaads were invented by Charles Stross, who's a fiction writer specializing in sort of epic space operas, but he's been instrumental in the creation of numerous famous D&D monsters, not only the Slaads, but also Death Knights and the Gith as well. After Slaads were first published in 1981's Fiend Folio, Stross is quoted as saying the following: "Well, the fact that I was running a fever when I came up with the Slaadi is probably going to surprise no one. Think of them as my independent exploration of Lovecraftiana. Think Lovecraft mythos as invented by someone who hasn't read Lovecraft or heard of him." So what are Slaads, or the Slaadi, as they were known until 4th edition? Well, in this edition, they're categorized as aberrations, tying them to a cluster of other Lovecraftian nightmares with strange origins and unusual forms that are usually in no way created by the gods of the prime material plane, the place that your adventures tend to happen in. But for the longest time, Slaads were grouped among a set of creatures called outsiders, who are usually comprised of energy and materials from another plane of existence. Essentially, these things are as alien as things can be in D&D. With that comes alien intelligences and motives, usually incomprehensible to mortals of the prime material plane, i.e. us as we play through our adventure. Slaads hail from the plane of limbo and are manifestations of its twisting, ever-changing dimension. They are distilled chaos through and through. As such, conventional biology and biological laws, the nature of reproduction, how things operate on a basic level makes absolutely zero sense when it comes to these creatures. It's like staring into a black hole, and that is the absolute beauty of Slaads. The one unifying trait of the Slaadi, however, is that in general, they tend to pretty much resemble or look a bit like frog-like creatures, which made them the butt of many jokes when they were first released. But anyone who's encountered one can tell you easily that they are no laughing matter. Now, I'm going to stray from the path a little bit here as per usual when it comes to drawing these creatures for two reasons. Firstly, these are interdimensional beings of absolute chaos. They are made of chaos, and as such, I don't really want to draw them as just giant frogmen, because that seems a little bit ordinary. So I'm going to try and mix it up a little bit and try and make them seem more unusual than that, more elemental, more figments of chaos than material physical things. But also because I've just drawn bullywugs that are also giant frogmen, so I want to do something slightly different. Due to the nature of how time in Limbo works, no one knows when the Slaadi were created. It could have been eons ago, or the series of events that lead to their creation could have not yet been set into motion. However, we do know what events occurred, or will occur. Primus, the machine god of law and order, frustrated by the nature of Limbo, saw fit to impose order upon its twisting, nonsensical anarchy, Primus's greatest challenge. So they created a divine crystal that radiated harmony. Once projected into the sea of bedlam that is Limbo, it absorbed the natural discord of the realm and grew in power, allowing creatures with ordered minds and structured thoughts to inhabit the ever-shifting land of turmoil. However, so much pandemonium was absorbed by the crystal that it began to falter, and, confused by its newfound duality, it misunderstood its intended programming. It began imposing order on chaos as it was instructed, but this time it did it by coalescing chaos into solid form and granting it enough order to have some semblance of a mind. Poisoned by a reality of pure disarray, the crystal formed the first Slaad, and countless more thereafter. Perhaps out of nervousness, fear, or even ignorance of the threat that the Slaadi pose, Primus has never returned to that realm and will not deal with the threat of his mistake. All Slaadi carry with them a portion of this chaos crystal embedded in their brains. Once spawned, they carry this stone in their heads that essentially contains their programming. As a shard of this impossible crystal of chaos, it delivers a Slaad's impulse to be chaotic, but once removed, a wielder can use it to control the Slaad it belongs to. It can be tempting to steal a Slaad's control gem, to have a powerful servant who must obey your every command, but this is no easy task in itself. Slaad control gems are not common knowledge, and no Slaad will ever volunteer this information. But it requires powerful magic or surgery to take this stone from their brains. The imprisonment spell can transfer the stone into the caster's hand instead of affecting the body of the Slaad. A wish spell can accomplish the same task, and apparently a greater restoration spell can destroy the stone without harming the Slaad, if the Slaad is being controlled by someone that you really don't want it to. But this implies that the stone is some kind of curse or ailment to the Slaads if it can be removed in such a fashion. Alternatively, a player who's skilled enough in medicine can get a hold of an incapacitated Slaad and can probe their brains surgically. This poses an enormous difficulty, and every failed attempt can absolutely destroy a Slaad's brain, so it's a very high risk, high reward feat if you don't have the magic available to do such a thing. But all Slaads, whether spawned directly from the source crystal or biologically, have these crystals in their heads. The other means of producing Slaads are far more disturbing. The red Slaad and blue Slaad are the two most common types, and are both large in stature, although they differ enormously in appearance, with red Slaads being traditionally slim and gangly, and blue Slaads being hulking monsters with two huge Wolverine-style barbs protruding from their knuckles. There are challenge rating 5 and 7 respectively, and actually produce each other's subspecies because, chaos reasons. A red Slaad has a 1d8 plus 3 piercing claw that infects humanoids who fail constitution saving throws with a tiny Slaad egg that lives inside the layers of their host's skin, like a botfly larva. Unlike a botfly larva, however, this Slaad tadpole, or Slaadpole, as I like to call them, will then spend the next 3 months wriggling through its unsuspecting host's skin until it reaches their chest cavity. Until this point, the wriggling in the host will have felt maybe like a rash or an itch. Perhaps the host feels a little bit sick. A tiny bit under the weather, their joints ache. They might put that down to flu. But once the Slaadpole reaches the chest, the host will start to feel extremely unwell. It'll have its speed halved, and it'll receive disadvantage on attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws. Provided that no one casts some sort of disease cure before 24 hours of this illness sets in, then the Slaad tadpole will then burst forth from the host's chest, killing them in the process, just like the Alien movies, and will slowly grow into a blue Slaad. Blue Slaads instead inflict humanoids with a disease called the Chaos Phage, on a slash attack from those brutal claws. This disease slowly transforms a person into a Slaad by reducing their maximum HP by 3d6 every 24 hours, and they cannot regain any HP magically or medically until this disease is somehow cured. Once their maximum HP is reduced to 0, the creature transforms into a red Slaad unless they cast spells of a 3rd level or higher, in which case they instead transform into a green Slaad. Once transformed, only a wish spell can reverse this process, just like lycanthropy. A green Slaad is slightly weaker than their blue brothers and sisters, with only 18 strength compared to 20. But at this stage, they are more intelligent than most humans, with an 11 intelligence, and can cast Detect Magic, Detect Thoughts, Mage Hand, Fear, Invisibility, and Fireball, on top of having ambient attacks like Hurl Flame that deal 3d6 fire damage. Green Slaads can also polymorph as an action into a small or medium humanoid, keeping all of its clothes and items unchanged, but it can stay in this form for as long as it likes, until death. Slaads usually transform into their former host bodies and cause panic, depression, and discord using the face that once fell victim to the Chaos Phage. A Slaad's control gem will ambiently absorb magic in the air, granting all Slaads innate resistance to magical effects, granting them advantage on saving throws versus spells. But a green Slaad stone is like a sponge for magic. It will passively absorb energy until it consumes so much that they can transform the Slaad's body. This process usually takes 100 years. Slaads, being chaotic, seemingly have no limit to their age. But after this 100-year mark, a green Slaad will spend up to 1 year warping its body in a magical chrysalis. Or at least, that's how I like to imagine it. After which point, its body will reduce from a large creature to a medium creature. but it will increase in power massively and will become a grey Slaad. In addition to its former abilities, the Grey Slaad masters even greater magical powers, including the likes of Major Image and Plane Shift. It's also learned to master greatsword combat in its time gestating and mutating. I like to imagine that they form these greatswords from the former skin shed from their transformation from their older, larger bodies, and fragments of their magical cocoon to form some immense crystalline blade that mirrors their control crystal. Because weapon attacks made by Grey Slaads count as magical attacks, their greatsword has to be magical. Grey Slaads that learn the secrets of the universe may undergo evil and unknown rituals to transform themselves into yet more powerful Death Slaads, who become twisted and warped by the energy of the negative planes, such that their alignment shifts to evil. They delight in suffering of others, and will regularly organise war bands or legions of red and blue Slaads to perform raids on humanoid lands or worlds, just to relish in their torment and suffering, but equally to create more incubators for their next generation of Slaads. It's said that a Death Slaad can transform themselves further into a White Slaad, and then into a Black Slaad, perhaps even after that into a Slaad Lord. But such creatures are so rare and so unheard of that they've not quite reached 5th edition yet, although there is an awful lot of homebrew out there. One important thing to note is that all Slaads share a variety of traits that make them even more terrifying to fight. They're all incredibly durable. They're resistant to most forms of energy: ice, fire, thunder, acid. I like to imagine that this is again being absorbed by their mind crystal, by their control gem. Or it could be that their bodies are just so alien from being constructed of the essence of limbo that magic doesn't work conventionally on them. They also regenerate, regaining 10 HP at the start of each of their turns, provided that they have 1 HP left. Slaads are also intelligent even at their most basic form. They're able to speak their own language, known as Slaad, but they also have 60-foot telepathy if they can't understand you. So importantly, although these things are absolutely horrific with their horrible chest-bursting or transformative reproductive cycle, they may not be totally hostile, just absolutely chaotic, and can perhaps be persuaded to do what you want to or to leave you alone, provided that they aren't being controlled by some force with an agenda holding their control gem. Slaads whose control gems are being held by someone are completely immune to being charmed. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed having some fun with the design of Slaads. The nature of drawing something that is actually a manifestation of chaos seems really interesting to me, and I love the idea of them being spawned of a crystal and in some way crystalline. So I hope you enjoyed this too. If you did like this video, please make sure to leave it a little thumbs up down below, perhaps favourite the video, and share it with the rest of your party if they have an upcoming encounter with Slaads. I release videos every week, so if you like the kind of content that I make, please make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. We're just little Slaad tadpoles ourselves, bursting forth from the chest cavity that is YouTube, so anything that you can do like that really helps us to grow, so thank you very much. If you have a monster that you'd like to see me draw, please make sure to leave your suggestion down in the comment section below, and I'll add it to my to-draw list. And if you love this drawing in particular and you'd like a copy for yourself, please make sure to head over to my Patreon page, where backers at certain levels receive prints of my Monster Mondays, either digitally or physically, and your support also helps me to improve the kind of videos that I can make, and that is unbelievably kind of you. So, thank you very much. Until next time guys, if you get scratched by a Slaad, make sure to go and see the doctor immediately, and happy monster hunting.